She had no voice left to scream with. When the Mafia boss's security team reviewed footage of his mansion, they found no record of what happened in that bathroom. No witnesses, no evidence. But when he returned home 17 minutes early from an assassination meeting, he found out exactly why monsters hide in plain sight. 8 minutes, 2 terrified children, and one question that would destroy everything he thought he knew. How long had this been happening under his own roof? If you believe children deserve protection no matter who their parents are, hit subscribe now. Only people who turn a blind eye to abuse won't. Cassian, the ghost. Vanko moved through Prague International Airport with lethal purpose. He needed to be home, urgently, but not for the reasons a father should. In his briefcase, surveillance photos of Marcus Duval, his former security chief who'd betrayed him to the Bratva. The betrayal cost 3 soldiers their lives. Cassian had spent 6 weeks planning Duval's execution down to the second. The bathroom rendezvous, the silenced weapon, the disposal team waiting in the service van. Everything perfect. Everything controlled. His assistant's voice crackled through his earpiece. "Boss," target confirmed. "Duval will arrive at the mansion in 23 minutes. Good. I'll be there in 17. Cassian ended the call. Across the Atlantic, in a marble bathroom that cost more than most houses, Anya Petrova was being destroyed again. Her stepmother's screaming had started small complaints about the spilled formula, lectures about wastefulness, threats about boarding schools in Switzerland. But now Verona was kneeling over her, red dress bright as fresh blood against white marble, finger pointed like a weapon at the 9-year-old clutching her infant brother. "You think your father will save you?" Verona hissed. "He doesn't even know you exist." She was wrong about that, because in 8 minutes, Cassian Vanko would step through his service entrance and hear something that would stop his heart cold. His daughter's voice, small and broken, begging for mercy from the woman he'd married. The assassination was about to be interrupted. But not by Marcus Duval. Cassian Vanko paced inside his private jet, irritated beyond measure. He needed this kill clean. No complications. "How's the timeline?" He snapped into his phone. His head of security responded immediately. "Boss, everything's on schedule. Duval enters through the service entrance in exactly 22 minutes. The bathroom is secured. Staff has been cleared from the East Wing." It's perfect. 1. Then why do I have this feeling something's wrong? "Sir, your requirements were followed exactly. Sterile location, 0 witnesses, complete control. Nothing can go wrong." Nothing can go wrong. Cassian slammed his hand on the armrest. Vehicles malfunctioning during transport. Deals collapsing at the last second. Whispers about bad luck following him like a shadow. His men were starting to call him cursed. But this hit would restore his reputation. 1 clean execution. Message sent. Problem eliminated. He had no idea the real problem was waiting at home in a red dress. Across the mansion, Anya Petrova was running out of time. She'd woken at 5:47 a.m., 3 hours before Verona, to prepare Leo's bottles exactly the way her stepmother demanded. 98.6 degrees. Foam skimmed off the top, arranged in perfect rows in the warmer. She'd hidden yesterday's bruises under a long-sleeved shirt, the pink one with the small rip in the sleeve that Verona hadn't noticed yet. She'd practiced her smile in the mirror, the one that said everything is fine even when nothing was. But this morning, Leo wouldn't stop crying, and crying meant Verona would come. Anya tried everything, the lullaby their real mother used to sing. Finally, Leo latched onto the bottle. Relief flooded through her. That's when his tiny fist shot out and struck the second bottle on the bathroom counter. It toppled, rolled, exploded against the marble in a cascade of expensive formula and broken glass. Anya's world ended. She snatched Leo, pressed him against her chest, and began frantically wiping the floor with her shirt, whispering, "Please, please, please," like it was the only prayer she knew, because Verona's footsteps were already echoing down the hallway, and this time, Anya knew begging wouldn't be enough. 17 minutes later, Cassian Vanko entered his mansion through the service entrance. Silent, controlled, lethal. Marcus Duval would arrive in 6 minutes. The bathroom was 3 rooms away. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Then he heard it. A sound that shouldn't exist in his fortress of control. A child's voice. Small, broken, begging, "Please, Verona, please don't." Cassian stopped so abruptly his $10,000 briefcase nearly slipped from his grip. He was a man who had ordered executions mid-dinner, who had negotiated while corpses cooled in the next room, who could kill without flinching. But that voice, his daughter's voice, laced with a terror she should never know, froze him solid. He moved toward the bathroom, each step measured, instinctive. Through the partially open door, the scene registered in brutal clarity. Verona, in her crimson dress, kneeling like a predator over prey. Anya on the marble, clutching Leo so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Spilled formula pooling, like evidence at a crime scene. Broken glass glittering like shattered promises. And his daughter's face, not just scared, but practiced at being scared. This wasn't the first time. Cassian's phone buzzed. A text from his security team. Duval entering building. ETA, 4 minutes to your position. He stared at the screen. 4 minutes to make a choice. Execute the traitor who cost him 3 soldiers. Or confront the monster he'd married and brought into his fortress. Verona's voice cut through his calculations. Maybe if your mother hadn't been such a failure, you'd have learned some discipline. The decision crystallized instantly. Cassian Vanko. The ghost, the man who built an empire on calculated violence, pulled out his phone and typed 4 words to his cleanup team. Abort. New priority target. Then he stepped into the bathroom doorway and spoke one word that would detonate Verona's perfect facade like a grenade. Verona. When the most dangerous man in New Jersey chooses his children over his empire, who becomes the real target? Stay with me, because what happens next will reveal whether monsters can choose to become protectors or if some stains on marble floors run too deep to ever be cleaned. Anya Petrova's alarm never made sound. She'd learned to wake 3 minutes before it would vibrate 5:47 a.m. exactly, because even silent alarms could be heard through walls if Verona was listening. She moved through the mansion's east wing like smoke, bare feet making no noise on Italian marble. 4 bottles prepared to 98.6 degrees. Foam skimmed with surgical precision, arranged in perfect rows inside the warmer. She counted them twice. Verona always counted. The bruises on her wrist had faded from purple to yellow-green. Still visible. Anya pulled on the pink long-sleeve shirt, checking the mirror to ensure no marks showed at the cuffs. Then she practiced the smile not too wide, not too small. The one that said everything is fine even when her ribs still ached from Tuesday. In the bathroom, she wiped microscopic dust from baseboards with a damp cloth. Verona checked there. Always there. 6,000 miles away, Cassian Vanko studied surveillance photos on his private jet. Marcus Duval's face stared back, former security chief, current corpse in waiting. The betrayal had cost 3 soldiers their lives and compromised an entire Eastern European network. 6 weeks of planning had produced perfection. Bathroom rendezvous at 9:30 a.m. Silenced weapon. Disposal team in the service van. Body dissolved in industrial chemicals by noon. Every variable controlled. Every outcome calculated. Timeline confirmed, sir. His head of security reported through the encrypted line. Duval enters the service entrance in 47 minutes. Wrecking. And the house? Staff cleared from the East Wing. Your wife took them to a charity function. Only the night nurse remains. Cassian nodded. Perfect isolation. Perfect control. On the mansion's terrace, Verona Vasile completed her morning sun salutations in designer athleisure, green juice sweating on the glass table beside her phone. The screen showed deleted texts. If that baby cries during my spa appointment, there will be consequences. She smiled at the sunrise. Serene and beautiful. Downstairs, Anya heard Leo start to whimper. Her hands began to shake. Cassian Vanko entered through the service entrance at 9:23 a.m., 17 minutes ahead of schedule. Arriving early was how you caught traders off guard when they were still confident. Still sloppy. Still breathing. The mansion felt wrong immediately. Too quiet. No staff chatter from the kitchen. No vacuum hum from upper floors. His security chief had confirmed it. Verona had taken everyone to some charity function across town. Only the night nurse remained Marcus Duval's girlfriend, though she didn't know her boyfriend was about to die in the East Wing bathroom. Perfect isolation. Perfect killing ground. Cassian checked his watch. Duval would arrive in 7 minutes. Upstairs, Leo had been crying all morning. Anya tried everything: the lullaby their real mother used to sing, the one about stars and safe harbors, gentle rocking that made her arms ache, desperate whispers of "Please, Leo, please be good." Verona was in the master bedroom, on a call with her society friends. 20 minutes. Maybe. That's all Anya had. Finally, Leo's tiny mouth found the bottle's nipple. He latched on. Quiet at last. Relief crashed through Anya so hard she almost sobbed. Then Leo's hand shot out infant reflex, pure instinct, and struck the second bottle on the bathroom counter. Time slowed. The bottle toppled, rolled, launched itself off the marble edge. It exploded against the floor in a cascade of expensive formula and broken glass, the sound impossibly loud in the silent mansion. Pure terror locked Anya's lungs. She knew what was coming. She always knew. She snatched Leo, pressed him against her chest so tightly he squeaked, and dropped to her knees. Her shirt became a rag, frantically wiping formula that was already seeping into grout, already staining, already ruining everything. "Please, please, please," she whispered like a prayer to a god who never answered. Down the hallway, Verona's voice went silent mid-laugh. Footsteps. Coming closer. Verona appeared in the bathroom doorway, wearing crimson like a wound against white marble. Hair perfect. Makeup flawless. For 3 seconds, she said nothing. That silence was worse than screaming. Then she knelt not to help, but to dominate, and the rage erupted. "Do you know how much that formula costs?" Her voice was surgical, precise. "No, you don't, because you're too stupid to understand money." Anya stayed frozen on the floor. Leo clutched against her chest. She'd learned months ago that talking back only made it worse. That apologies were fuel. That silence was the only defense she had. "Your father works himself to death, and this is how you repay him? By destroying everything I try to build?" Leo started crying, not because he understood the words, but because he felt Anya's terror radiating through her small body like a fever. Every muscle tensed, waiting for the blow she knew was coming. "Maybe if your mother hadn't been such a failure," Verona continued, voice dropping to something intimate and poisonous, "you'd have learned some discipline." Anya's eyes burned. She didn't let the tears fall. "Don't you dare cry. Don't you dare." Verona leaned closer, her perfume mixing with the smell of spilled formula. "You think tears fix anything? Your father will be home soon, and when he sees this mess, when he sees what a disaster you are, Maybe he'll finally agree that boarding school in Switzerland is the only option for both of you. The threat landed like a fist. Or maybe I'll just tell him the baby is too difficult, that he needs specialized care. Verona's smile was beautiful and terrible. The kind of care that happens in facilities where parents can visit once a month. If they remember. Anya's arms tightened around Leo until he whimpered. Down the hallway, 6 rooms away. Cassian Vanko heard his daughter's voice, small, broken, begging. Please, Verona, please don't. He stopped walking. Cassian had been moving down the hallway toward the bathroom. Checking his watch, Marcus would arrive in 6 minutes when he heard his daughter's voice. Small, broken, begging. Please, Verona. Please don't. I'll clean it. I'll fix it. Please don't hurt Leo. He stopped so abruptly his briefcase almost slipped from his grip. Cassian Vanko was a man who had ordered executions mid-dinner, who had negotiated while corpses cooled in the next room, who could kill without flinching, without hesitation, without remorse. But that voice, his daughter's voice, laced with a terror she should never know, nailed his feet to the floor. He moved toward the partially open door. Silent. Trained. The scene registered in brutal clarity. Verona in her red dress, kneeling like a predator over prey. Anya on the marble, clutching Leo so tightly her small knuckles had gone white. Spilled formula pooling like evidence. Broken glass glittering like shattered promises. And his daughter's face not just scared, but practiced at being scared. This wasn't the first time. Cassian's mind, trained to process threats in microseconds, cataloged everything. The way Anya had positioned her body to shield Leo. The fading bruises on her wrist, visible when her sleeve rode up. Verona's confident cruelty. The kind that came from believing she was completely alone. You're not going to believe how this changes everything. Stay tuned, because the moment of truth is coming, and it'll leave you speechless. How long has this been happening? His phone buzzed. Text. From security. Duval. Entering building. ETA. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. He could step away. Make the call. Handle Verona later. Properly. Quietly. The way he handled all problems with surgical precision and 0 witnesses. 1 phone call, and Marcus Duval would die as planned. But looking at his daughter's face, at the way she'd stopped expecting anyone to help her, the way she'd learned to make herself small and silent and invisible, Cassian realized something fundamental had shifted. He'd already made his choice. His fingers moved across the phone screen. Abort. New priority target. Then he stepped into the doorway and spoke one word that would detonate everything. Verona. Verona. 1 word. Spoken softly. But it detonated in the bathroom like a flashbang grenade. Verona whipped around, face draining of color, then flooding red with the desperate scramble of someone caught. Cassian! You're home early. I was just the children had an accident. And I was. Cassian stepped into the bathroom with the same measured pace he used, approaching a target. His eyes never left Verona's face, cataloging her panic, her calculations, the exact moment she realized her usual charm wouldn't work. Stand up, he said. Walk to the corner. Put your hands on the wall. Anya didn't understand what was happening. Her father was home, but he wasn't yelling at her for the mess, wasn't demanding explanations. He was using the voice he reserved for people who ended up on the news as unsolved disappearances. The voice that made grown men confess to crimes they hadn't committed just to make it stop. Cassian. Really? You're overreacting. Verona's laugh came out strained, artificial. The girl is clumsy, and I was simply trying to teach her responsibility. The wall. Cassian's voice dropped to absolute 0. Now, or I will put you there, and you won't walk away from it. Verona stood slowly, smoothing her red dress with trembling hands. She tried one more smile, the one that usually worked when he came home stressed from business trips. It died on her face when she saw his eyes. Those weren't the eyes of her husband. Those were the eyes of the ghost. The man who had built an empire on knowing exactly how much pressure it took to break someone. She walked to the corner, placed her manicured hands against the marble wall. Behind them, Anya clutched Leo tighter, watching her father transform into someone she'd only heard whispers about from household staff who thought she couldn't hear. The monster everyone feared, the one who might finally save them. Cassian's phone vibrated. Text from security. Duval entering building. ETA, 90 seconds to your position. 90 seconds to make a decision that would define the rest of his life. Stick to the plan, eliminate Duval, while his children watch their father commit murder in the room where they'd just been terrorized. Or abort the mission and deal with a traitor who would disappear into the Bratva's protection by morning. Cassian pulled out his phone and typed, "Abort. New. Priority. Target." Verona saw him on the phone and mistook distraction for an opening. "Cassian, please, let's discuss this rationally. The children need structure, discipline. I've been trying to help them." He looked up from his phone. Verona saw something in his eyes that made her stop mid-sentence. "Help them?" His voice was quieter now, which somehow made it worse. "Tell me, Verona, how long have you been helping my children when I'm not home?" Silence stretched like a blade between them. Then, from the floor, a small voice. "Daddy? Daddy?" Anya. The first word she'd spoken since he entered. Small, uncertain, like she was afraid the wrong answer would make him disappear again. Cassian moved across the bathroom, 2 steps, measured and deliberate, and knelt beside his daughter. Anya flinched. The movement was tiny, instinctive, practiced. It destroyed him. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm here now." She let him take Leo first. The baby stopped crying immediately, tiny fists clutching Cassian's shirt, recognizing safety in a way that broke something fundamental in his chest. Because it meant his son remembered what fear felt like. Anya watched, trembling, waiting to see if this was real or another trick adults played before the punishment came. Cassian extended his other arm. "Come here, Anya." She collapsed into him, finally crying the way children should, loud, messy, relieved. Behind them, Verona realized she'd just lost everything. Still holding Leo, Cassian gently took Anya's wrist, the one with the fading bruises visible beneath her sleeve. "How did this happen?" Anya looked at Verona, then back at her father. Trapped between learned fear and desperate hope. "Anya." Cassian's voice was steady, calm. "Look at me. Not her. Me. How did you get hurt?" The words came out in broken fragments, each one costing her something. The times Verona grabbed her too hard when she moved too slowly. The locked closet, when she needed to learn stillness for crying. The days without meals when Leo cried too much. The constant threats that if she told anyone, Leo would be sent away forever to places where babies disappeared. "She's exaggerating." Verona's voice cracked. "Children do that. Cassian, you know I love them. Stop talking." Cassian's tone could have frozen blood. "Every word makes this worse for you." He pulled out his phone. "Tony, I need you at the house. Now. Bring Anna from legal and Dr. Reeves." "Yes. Immediately." He hung up. Made a second call. Marcus Duval is no longer today's priority. Verona's facade shattered completely. "What are you doing?" "Cassian, please. We can work this out. I'll do better. I'll change. You're done talking to me." Cassian's eyes never left his daughter's face as he spoke. "When my people arrive, you'll talk to them. You'll explain every mark on my daughter, every threat you made, every moment You thought you could hurt my children because I wasn't watching. Anya's small hand gripped his shirt tighter. And Verona? Cassian finally looked at his wife, and she saw her own death in his expression. If you've left marks I can't see yet, Dr. Reeves will find them. And then we'll have a very different conversation about what happens to people who hurt what belongs to me. Outside, tires crunched on gravel. His team was already arriving. Tony arrived with Anna from legal and Dr. Reeves, a trauma specialist who'd testified in custody cases Cassian had arranged for high-value associates. Verona watched them enter and realized, too late, that she wasn't dealing with an angry husband. She was dealing with a mafia boss executing a plan. Dr. Reeves worked methodically, documenting every bruise on Anya's small body, every sign of trauma. Leo's examination revealed failure to thrive, markers weight loss, developmental delays, the kind of neglect that happened when babies learned crying brought punishment instead of comfort. Anna recorded everything while Verona's explanations grew increasingly desperate. Accidents, misunderstandings, children who bruised easily, and exaggerated pain for attention. Cassian watched from the doorway, one hand on Anya's shoulder, feeling her shake, despite trying to be brave. Dr. Reeves pulled him aside, voice low. This has been ongoing for months. Anya shows signs of complex trauma, hypervigilance, dissociation, learned helplessness. Leo has failure to thrive markers, consistent with systematic neglect. If this had continued another few weeks. She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Cassian knelt beside Anya again. Asked one question. Why didn't you call me? Anya's voice was barely a whisper. You said never to bother you at work unless someone was dying. I wasn't dying. I was just hurting. And that's not the same thing. Something fundamental cracked inside Cassian Vanko. The ghost. The man who'd built an empire on calculated violence. Not loudly, not dramatically, but completely. He pulled his daughter close, buried his face in her hair, and whispered words he'd never said to anyone in his criminal life. You were always worth bothering me. Always. And I'm so fucking sorry that I made you think anything different. Anya cried harder, finally believing someone heard her. Across the room, Verona watched her perfect life dissolve into legal documents and medical testimony. Tony stepped beside her. Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us now. The dust has settled, but the story's far from over. If you're inspired by Cassian's decision to protect his children above all else, hit subscribe and be part of this journey. Cassian's security escorted Verona from the mansion with a single suitcase. Anna handed her divorce papers and a non-disclosure agreement. Stay silent about the family, or evidence of her abuse goes to every authority and media outlet in the state. Verona took the deal. She had no choice. The mansion that was supposed to host an execution instead hosted something stranger. Cassian Vanko, one of the most feared men on the East Coast, sitting on a bathroom floor with his children, teaching his daughter that crying doesn't make you weak, and promising his son that no one would ever hurt him again. He canceled the Duval hit. Made one call instead. Marcus, this is Cassian. I know what you did. I know where you are. But today, you get to live. Because I learned something some enemies aren't worth my children watching me destroy. Disappear. If I ever see you again, I won't be this merciful. Over the next weeks, Cassian restructured everything. His schedule, home every night for dinner. His security, protecting his children, not just his empire. His reputation. Let people think he's softening. He didn't care anymore. He hired therapists for Anya and Leo. Learned to recognize when Anya was spiraling. Showed up to school events. Became visible. 6 months later, Anya walked into the kitchen where Cassian was making Leo's bottle. She'd grown 2 inches, started smiling again, stopped checking every room for danger. "Dad, can I bring a friend home from school?" Cassian looked at his daughter, brave, broken, healing, and realized she'd called him Dad instead of Daddy or Father. She was growing up, becoming someone who survived and chose strength anyway. "Yeah, kiddo," he said. "You can bring home whoever you want. This is your house, too." Fun. And Mangada, caring main where grains. Anya smiled a real smile. The kind Cassian thought Verona had stolen forever. "Thanks for staying home." Cassian watched her leave, then looked down at Leo, who reached for the bottle. "Your sister saved both of us," he told his son. "And I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure she knows she never has to save us alone again." The marble floor got replaced with hardwood. Some stains, Cassian decided, shouldn't be cleaned. They should be torn out completely. Some monsters wear red dresses, and sometimes the ghost you fear becomes the father you needed all along. Thank you so much for joining me on this story. If you believe children deserve protection no matter who their parents are, subscribe and comment where you're watching from. Only those who turn a blind eye to suffering won't stand with us.